This PPT has been prepared by referring many internet sources, notes as well as textbooks, and this is exclusively used for the purpose of education and not for any financial gains. Welcome to fourth session in module 2 of economics and management. In this session we will discuss about MBO. What is MBO? MBO is the acronym for management by objectives. So this is a very comprehensive management system that integrates many key managerial activities in a very systematic manner. So here I would like to highlight the word comprehensive, integrates and systematic manner. Comprehensive means it encompasses many things. Integrates means it combines them together in a systematic manner, not in a haphazard or vague manner, in a very systematic manner. And it is consciously directed towards effective and efficient achievement of the organizations and individual objectives. Here again I would like to highlight on two things. One thing is it not only takes care of organizational interests but also it takes care of individual interests and objectives. Peter Drucker originated this system. It's a process which begins at the top of the organization and will follow the following steps. First, the task to be accomplished by the manager, then duration for accomplishment, then the metrics for measuring the progress. So first you have to fix the task, then you have to fix the duration for the accomplishment, and then metrics means yardsticks, the scale that you need to measure the progress of the task. Finally, these steps are repeated to achieve the success. So you should keep on repeating the cycle so that final success is achieved. Totally MBO. How does it occur? Achieve FAD status in MBO. Managers and employees work together to set measurable goals with a definitive timeline. But he says log homos sell themselves, we can totally hit this goal. It's a fad. MBO has become a fad. Fad in the sense it's just a fashionable word. It's just a attractive word. That's all. It has no real meaning. So by the end of 1980, what happened is that MBO became obsolete, or people started feeling that MBO is not a good management practice. Of course, there are certain advantages. It helps the manager to involve himself as he is very clear what is to be done, what is going to be done, everything he knows very clearly. And objectives of department will be in line with that of the organization. Subordination of the individual interests with that of the organization is achieved. The one of the principles of Henry Fayol, it's very clearly achieved in MBO. Performance evaluation is based on the accomplishment of objectives, and you set a standard and you will achieve that standard, and evaluation is based on whether those standards are met or not. So this certainly improves the overall effectiveness of the organization. That is very true. But what are its drawbacks? Why people started feeling that MBO is just a fad? Stating objectives in a specific period of time is a difficult task. That was one of the major drawbacks. You fix that this much target must be achieved within next 2 years, within next 1 month or 6 months. It's very difficult. You cannot set objectives like that. And what may happen in future, we cannot predict. You can only forecast. The process demands trust in an organization. People may start feeling that in the process of achieving the target, being overburdened. When they start feeling that they are being overburdened, they lose trust in the organization, and organization also start losing the employees. The organization becomes very formalized, which hinders further development, and it becomes a very formalized structure. There is a slogan, and you have to achieve that slogan, and slogans remain slogans, that's all. So if you say that no smoking, it's a slogan. So it's not that slogans are important. It is very, very important that people understand the meaning of that slogan. So MBO is something like, you spread the slogan, quality is important for us. But what measures you are taking to meet that quality? So that is where MBO became a fad. The performance evaluation is based on the present job and not on the previous job, which may not be true way of appraisal. Today you may not be doing it properly. You might have done the job in a better way earlier. So only based on the present performance, if evaluation takes place, it's not proper way of appraisal. The difficulties of MBO were seen and people started rejecting that. MBE, another important management concepts, which is the acronym for management by exception. What does that mean? Concept or policy by which management devotes its time to investigating only those situations in which actual results differ significantly from planned results. See, some of the results have differed too much. There is a huge gap. Then you have to target only those tasks which have a huge gap. You have to prioritize things. That is what is being done in management by exception. Exceptionally important items will be given more importance. So this is what MBE does. Employees work independently as long as the limits are exceeded, the tolerance or unforeseen events occur. Till that point of time, it's a normal course of action. It sets out objectives, values and standards, and furthermore to select criteria for success and sets the control information. Once they find that there is some problem, then they measure the success and see where there is a gap. Target and actual are constantly compared in performance variance analysis. That's what we term it as gap analysis. Gap analysis is the study of gap from what is planned and what is obtained. Prerequisite for the introduction of management by exception is the presence of relevant information, control and reporting systems that signal the defined exception. There has to be a proper database. See what is to do and what is being done and what is you are doing and what has already been done. Everything has been clearly categorized. So you need to have a very good database for MBE. With the company operational objectives must be known to everyone. Their responsibilities must be clearly defined. All parties must understand that goals, responsibilities and escalation about all these jobs. Advantages and disadvantages of MBE. Benefits for superiors as most extensive relief from routine task and low cost control. We make people make decisions on their own. As long as there is no crisis, the work continues. Only for critical situations, then only the managers will scratch their head. Employees can act flexibly. They feel elated. Many a times they feel elated. In Japanese organizations, that's what they have done. They have proved that. When you give authority to lower down the order, then they do it better, the productivity improves. Whereas drawbacks are also there. Flexibility of employees is called for unusual decision on their superiors. They may start feeling that uh, I am the superior now, I am the boss now, and they may not give respect, and the discipline may be lost. Another important principle of Henry Fayol, what he had called for discipline in the organization, could be lost when even subordinates are given the authority. Employees can generally do not improve their skills and may be underutilized. That's also quite possible. Next, we will start discussing about staffing. What is staffing? It is the process of filling and keeping the positions filled in an organization. In organization, what did we do? We divided the work, and we prepared the organization structure, like based on the functions or based on the products or the mixture of both functions and products, or based on the time or based on the territory, and all these things we have divided the work. Now for each work I have to assign a person. That job is done by staffing. It includes several sub-functions like recruitment, getting applicants for the job as they open up, selection of the best qualified from those who seek the job, transfers and promotions, training to improve the effectivity of the jobs, and it also includes finally the placement of the person to the required position. Here I would like to highlight the words recruitment, selection, and placement. Many a times we call it as campus recruitment, campus selection, campus placement. Are they same? No, they are all entirely different words. Recruitment is just getting applicants for the job. They scrutinize you and they just uh, make way for the applicants. Then during selection they conduct the interview to select the best person suitable for the job, and during placement they provide you training and place you in the proper work set out in the organization structure. Nature of staffing. Staffing is an important function of the management as it decides the jobs and persons. It's a very important function. Planning helps you to do plan better. Organization provides you the work structure, and staffing helps you to fill those work structure or fill those vacancies. It affects the next function like leading and controlling. This is exactly at the middle, so it is like a fulcrum. If it is moved a little bit, it creates imbalance of the entire organization. It requires an open system approach. Open system in the sense you should be open in all direction, 360-degree view. So you should have a 360-degree view without any prejudices. That is the meaning of staffing requires an open systems approach. Factors like level of education, attitudes in society, laws and regulations affect staffing. Importance of staffing. What is the importance of staffing? It helps to obtain the talented because you are getting the best people to your organization. It ensures improved productivity by matching people with job. You have a job and you are matching the right person for that particular job. Obviously, productivity is expected to improve. It helps to avoid disruption of work due to shortage of personnel. Since you are filling up the gap with proper persons, the work disruption may not happen. It helps to provide, it helps to prevent underutilization of personnel or overburdening of human resources, because the person who is specialized in a particular job is being given that particular job only. So he will enjoy his work now. He doesn't feel overburdened. He doesn't feel underutilized. So he enjoys his work. Provides information to management for internal succession in event of unanticipated turnover. If there are too many of people moving out of the organization, staffing provides an information for the management for internal succession or to provide the promotion for the internal people to fill the gap. Now we shall discuss recruitment in detail. What is recruitment? It is the process of attracting the suitable candidates to fill the position in the organization structure. You are attracting the candidates. Remember that you are attracting and you are not selecting anyone. Selection is next stage. Recruitment is the first stage. So while attracting the right candidate to fill the positions in the organization, how do you do that? With the help of many sources. They are re-employing former employees. They are retired. Take them back. That is one way of uh, getting the or attracting the candidates. Friends and relatives of the present employees. This is what you term it as employee referrals. Present employees, friends and relatives can be taken into organization. Applicants at gate. Many a times people go to companies and they are not allowed inside the company. The security person himself will receive the application from the applicants and pass it on to HR. That is the meaning of applicants at gate. College and technical institutions, you are a part of that. uh, Companies come to college or technical institutions because you are one of the uh, biggest source for them to fill the positions in the organization. Employment exchange, many of you may not be aware of this. Okay, and when I was a student or my uh, previous generation, say my father, for them employment exchange was the biggest source of information and biggest source of getting the job. People used to go to employment exchange to register for an employment, and companies used to visit employment exchange to select the right candidates. It had a pool of candidates with varied qualification and ability, due to which companies were very happy to pick persons, and there was direct selection. There was no interviews and all those things. They were all for namesake, they were being held. But nowadays employment exchange has lost its charm, and it's for namesake. No one is really interested with it. Advertisements, people send advertisements, and it is again one of the best methods of attracting candidates, especially off campus recruitment. Advertisement is the best method. Labor unions, even they provide the pool of candidates, uh, especially at PSUs or even at large private organizations or limited organizations. Labor unions provide a pool of suitable candidates. Consultants and private agencies. Here I would like to caution you that consultants are there working to give employment opportunities for the candidates, but certain consultants are there who are not genuine. uh, Few consultants may receive money from you and may not give you a proper opportunity, and they will be speaking flowery words, attract you, but you may not find a proper job or a proper opportunity. uh, that's why be careful when you approach a consultant. Please listen to the history and see that you are not fooled or deceived by the consultants. But many consultants are there who have provided wonderful job opportunities for the young aspirants, and they're all very genuine people, and they have worked in the organization, they have contact in the organization, and they provide them jobs. This is the difference between recruitment and selection. Say recruitment, you are picking up the candidates suitable for the job, and selection, you are hired. Can you see the mark there? Here they are telling hiring, or you are being hired, and they are all very happy, jumping up in air and being congratulated. But now, due to corona, this is not possible. You have to be very careful. So this is the difference between recruitment and selection. Don't say that it is campus recruitment. If it is just campus recruitment, it's only that you have applied, you have not been yet selected. So what we do here in campus, it is campus selection, but again it is not campus placement, because you are not being placed in the job. Placement happens after you report to the industry. Okay, in campus selection, we they just recruit and then finally hire you. Internal recruitment, this improves the security of employees. What is internal recruitment? Promoting the internal persons, giving them higher scope for learning, training them, helping them grow in the organization, helping them develop in the organization. That is internal recruitment, due to which loyalty of the employees increases. Training cost is less because they are semi trained already, so you are just enhancing their skills. Motivates the employees to perform better, obviously, because you are being recognized, your work is being recognized. When you when somebody promotes you, we feel very proud, and we give our best to the organization. That's how it motivates the employees to perform better. This is very true. Employee turnover gets reduced because you are motivated, you are being trained, your loyalty is higher, and security is better. They are all linked to one another, and that's why employee turnover is obviously reduced. But this kind of recruitment may lead to limit the choice of selection of best candidate. Whatever the candidates you have, you may have to select among them. Kupa Mandukas. A Manduka, a frog, felt that well itself is the biggest water source in the world. It had not seen even a pond. That's why it felt well is the biggest water source. So that may happen. The best among the available candidates may have to be chosen, and more suitable, better candidates will be deprived of. Biasing of employees may be encouraged. Very true. If one person is very close to a superior, he may get promotion, and the deserving person may not get the promotion. Unsuitable persons may get promoted. That's what I was saying, just for the reason they are close to some senior persons. Results in stagnation as this avoids new blood in the organization. That should not happen normally. But every action has some advantages, has some disadvantages. We need to balance very clearly. External recruitment advantages are this kind of recruitment brings new blood to the organization and revitals the entire organization. Scope for choice becomes wide. Yes, now we have better choice now. But what will happen to the people who are already there in the company working for years together? That may lead to turnover. They may start leaving the organization. Being angry with the company's policies, they may start leaving the organization. It reduces the morale, demotivates people, and sense of security is lost, and that deteriorates employee and employer relationship. As I told, you should have a proper balance between both internal recruitment as well as external recruitment. Selection. This is where you are choosing the candidates who were recruited in the previous stage, whether from outside or inside the organization, and select the best among them to the position. Recruitment, the source of prospective candidates are found. Selection, the candidates are screened. These are the steps. Normally, these are the steps which are taken during the selection process. It's not hard face rule, but this follows. Let us discuss these things in detail. First one is the application blank. In this step, the applications are filled by the candidates, and the candidate gives detail about his qualification, specialization, his objective, experience if any, and all those details are filled up. His hobbies, his strengths, weaknesses, all of them will be highlighted. The second one is the initial interview of the candidate. Many a times people may not find it very clear in the application blank, and they may ask you some general questions during the initial interview, and this is done to clarify information that you have provided in the application blank are correct or not, and to create a very friendly environment for the candidate. That means you need to feel that yes, this organization is friendly with me. To create that kind of environment, initial interview is conducted. The third stage is, or the third step is employment tests. Once the organizations feel that this candidate can be a potential candidate for the interview or the further process, they conduct employment tests. Employment tests can be in the form of logical reasoning, aptitude tests, technical tests, interest tests, performance tests, even intelligence tests, physical tests. It could be anything. Okay, personality test, I mean to say. These things could have an impact on the entire process. These tests are conducted to test the traits, abilities, likes, dislikes, mental ability, adaptability, etc. So they will try to scrutinize and see and select the best candidate among the pool of candidates. The next step is checking the reference. Normally in application blank we give one or two references, and people who are trying to recruit you, who are trying to select you, they will meet these references and ensure that whatever you are trying to tell and whatever you have been tested are true. And if the candidate is found satisfactory, then reference check will take place. Maybe if you are experienced, reference check with the previous employer may also take place. Next one is physical or medical examination. This is very critical in military services, even in defense organizations like HAL, NAL, DRDO, BAML. There also physical and medical examinations takes place, because you need to prove yourself to be physically fit for that particular post, and the candidate's job requires that, and that's why it is done. To prevent the unwarranted claims by the candidate later, if you are physically not fit for that post, then you may have to you will claim, and that's an extra burden for the company. To prevent the communicable diseases, if you have any communicable diseases, that could be avoided. Final interview. During final interview, what do we do? This is just an informal interview, and normally it is called as HR interview by some companies. And you have already been screened through all this mental ability, logical reasoning, technical, personality. All these things have been done, and you are almost there. Only thing is that the HR will have his own perspective, and whether they want to know you can be an asset for the company or not. For that, they conduct the final interview. This is a brief case which you can go through to improve your knowledge. Thank you.